Hello everyone and welcome back to Limitless Metal. So today we're going to be talking about setting up and printing using Photoshop to an Epson F170 or Epson F570 sublimation printer. So this tutorial is going to be based on Photoshop printing on the macOS platform. If you are following along on Windows, the process will be very similar with a few small setting changes, different names, things like that. If you'd like a dedicated Photoshop printing tutorial, make sure to let me know down in the comments. I would be happy to get that created. So the first thing that you're going to do is get Photoshop opened here on your computer. Now there's two main ways when printing to an F170 that you're going to open up your images. Now the very first one that I want to talk about here is if you're going to be printing, say, a couple 4x6 images onto an 8.5x11 sheet of paper. Of course, you could always open up the one, just slap it right in the middle and print it, but that is wasting a little bit of paper, and if you have the need to print more than one image, it makes sense to try and fit those onto one piece of paper for printing. So what you're going to go ahead and do is say new file and open this custom 8.5x11 file template here in Photoshop, and then what that'll do is allow you to drag and open those individual photos onto that palette and organize them and prepare them for printing. So that's the first way. I do like to mention that, of course, if you are using the larger 8.5x14 US legal size, you just adjust this size, but you can basically take that same concept. Now, the second way is just opening the image that you want to print completely straight up in Photoshop, not necessarily setting up a canvas. So I have one here in my recents. This is an image that I took on the big island of Hawaii earlier this year, where you can see the waves crashing up over the lava rocks, and of course with it being a long exposure, creating this smoky look. So, of course, if you're interested in ordering this print for your house, make sure to check out the link in my bio. You can order this printed on metal, photo paper, or canvas. But with that being said, now that we've got our image here in Photoshop, what you're going to do is make any edits that you want before you get to the printing. So if you want to make any color adjustments, crop this picture, anything like that, make sure you do that before you get into the print. Now, of course, this photo has gone through my pre-editing pipeline, and this is actually the ready-to-print version. So I usually would just open this up, and then what you're going to do is hit Command-P. If you're on Windows, that'll be Control-P, or you can come up to File and Print. This is going to open up the Photoshop print menu. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is because I just opened this photo up right out of the folder, it's way too big for the regular 8.5x11 sheet. So this is something that's pretty specific to my images, but you will run into certain issues like this where either the image is way smaller than you'd like or way bigger. So because I'm going to be printing this to 8.5x11, basically I'm going to be sublimating this to a ChromaLuxe 8x10 aluminum panel. So you want to go ahead and do 8.2, giving for that little bit of bleed edge, and then of course it auto snaps to about 12.29. So there's a little bit more bleed edge on the width than there is on height, but that's completely fine. So now that we've got our picture resized a little bit, if I don't scroll in the box there, a couple important things that you want to choose. Coming up here to the color management section, by default, this is set to printer manages color. Now you don't want to have the printer manage color. What you're going to want to do is set that to Photoshop manages color. And then here, this second drop-down printer profile is going to activate and allow you to choose an ICC color profile for your print. Now, what you're going to do is there's two options that come out of the box with the Epson printers once you get the drivers installed. Again, I'm doing this on an F170, but the steps for the F570 are almost exactly the same. So there's two options, there's rigid and there's textile. Rigid, of course, is if you're going to be printing on something like the ChromaLuxe metal that I mentioned, or wood, your coasters, ceramic tiles, things like that. Textile, you're going to want to use this for anything soft, pillows, t-shirts, hoodies, things like that. So make sure you choose the one that's best for the hardware that you're printing onto when you do the sublimation. Now, of course, because I mentioned I'm doing ChromaLuxe, I'm going to choose that rigid profile. Then what you're going to do is make sure this black point compensation box is checked. Essentially what this is doing is adjusting the black areas of the photo to be closest to the black that the printer is able to reproduce with the ink included. Some of the more expensive, larger format Epson sublimation printers have higher quality, higher mix, and higher chroma black inks, which is when you actually wouldn't want that black point compensation, but with the F170 and F570, you will want to use that black point compensation. So now that we've got these color settings set up right, you're going to want to take a quick look in the print settings menu by selecting this button. Now, as you can see here, it's got the Epson SC F170. If you have multiple printers, make sure you choose the one that fits best. Again, there's that option here, and then there's also one here in the Photoshop. As you can see, I have two F100 series. One of those is if I had the printer plugged in via the USB. The other one, IP, is just based off the wireless connection. And then you can see I have a couple HPs, and then the same two settings for my SureColor P600. So, going back into print settings here, what you're going to want to do, of course, just start by making sure the paper size is set to the size you intend to print on. With the F170, this is a very easy task because it really accepts three sizes, US legal, US letter, and A4. So of course I'm doing 8.5 by 11, but if you are doing those other ones, make sure to choose that size. If you're using the F570, this is going to be the biggest difference because you're most likely printing from roll paper, so make sure that you set the roll paper to the right width and length that you are printing. Now, really a quick overview here, layout and paper handling. For the F170, you really don't need to change anything in here. These are the settings I'll leave up here just for a second if you wanted to pause, that I use and have gotten really good results from, but I actually didn't change anything in these two options. Really what you're going to want to focus on is this printer options panel. Make sure that when you click on color matching, that the color sync button here is checked. Now you can see that I actually can't change either of these. It's auto set to color sync, and that should be the result that you see as well. The reason for that is we just set up all the colors in Photoshop to have Photoshop manage the colors with that color profile. If you don't do that first, you'll probably notice that Epson Color Controls is selected, which means the printer is going to be handling those colors, which you most often don't want. Then what you're going to do, come under print settings here, and you can see that you want to just confirm here media type, which of course is the DS Transfer Multi-Use Rigid, for my case printing on that ChromaLuxe aluminum. But again, if you're using textile, pillows, fabrics, things like that, make sure you choose textile. Then for print quality, there's normal and fine. I always go with fine. It does increase the time that it takes to print the photo, but it's going to give you a little bit more detail. For me, I always want the most detail, and having a few extra seconds to a minute or two on each print is not the end of the world for me, but that's just my personal opinion. And then you do want to make sure you leave mirror image checked. That's going to flip the image in a mirror and print onto the piece of paper, so it's actually going to look a little strange. If you have any words, the words will be backwards when you print it, but then when you sublimate it to your sublimation transfer, it will flip back and be right ways as you see here on the screen. So you want to make sure that is selected, because if you don't select that, it'll end up mirrored on the final product. So most likely you don't want that. And then the final option here is printer info. As you can see, this just has the name, ink levels, things like that. So at this point, you can go ahead and say save and send this to the printer. I hope you guys found this video helpful. Again, this is for the SC F170, also SC F570, which is the 24-inch sublimation printer. If you were following along on Windows and got lost in the settings and would like a dedicated Windows video, make sure to let me know down below in the comments. Always happy to help troubleshoot, record a new video, things like that. And if you're just getting into the world of sublimation, make sure to subscribe to Limitless Metal. I like to post here about sublimating primarily to aluminum photo panels, whether it be ChromaLuxe or other brands, with my own images such as Smoky Oceans here, but also accepting custom orders from viewers and other sources through, for gifts and things like that. So if you're looking for a cool customized gift, make sure to check out the link in the bio, whether it be a custom picture or some of your own photos printed on metal or metal magnets. So thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe. It does really help us out and allow us to provide these videos here for you for free on YouTube. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.